Green Bay's Finance Committee approves a recommendation to purchase the city's former Press-Gazette building to be used as the Green Bay Police Department's new headquarters. In a First Alert update, Drew Best joins us now in the newsroom to tell us more about what could be next for the police department. Drew.
Bill, Mayor Eric Genrich says the recommendation will now be considered by the Common Council at their meeting next Tuesday, following today's unanimous approval from the city's Finance Committee. The current Green Bay Police headquarters on South Adams Street has faced deferred maintenance for several years, according to the mayor. If the purchase is approved next week, the police department's square footage would nearly double in the historic Walnut Street location. Genrich says the building fits the city's goal of providing the police department with the upgraded home they deserve under a fiscally responsible plan, but it won't come without proper consultation.
We're at the early stages of figuring out, what the strengths and weaknesses of this building are, and so we're going to go through that process, make sure that it's a good fit for us, and then ultimately go to our Common Council again and to the public and kind of make the case for a much more substantial investment.
The mayor also tells me their current stage in the process is simply looking for the authority to purchase the property and then continuing the process from there. Green Bay Police Chief Mark Davis says the new headquarters would also provide the opportunity to offer a more welcoming space to the community than their current location. Bill?